everybody, and welcome back to Maltech here. And I'm doing a NFL 2022 to 2023 season prediction, and I'm using playoff predictor. That's what I used last year for the playoffs, and I picked each game for each team, and I set all the seeds up. So yeah, let's get right into it. I'm gonna go by division. I'm gonna start with AFC and go from bottom to top. So I uh I have the New England Lake Patriots at 7-10. I feel like they're not gonna be as strong as they were last year. Of course, Bill Belichick is good, but we saw later in the year they started to regress, and things just weren't working as well. I think especially with losing like J.C. Jackson and reaching in the draft and not really getting anyone that good in my opinion. That's what's gonna make them regress. Then there's the Jets. I think the Jets are gonna make a really big step up this year. They're gonna miss the playoffs, but this is the year where Jets fans will get hope that the Jets aren't gonna be always horrible. I think next year they will have a playoff shot. This year, I think they're gonna be good with Sauce Gardner and all the new players that they have, Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson. Now I have the Dolphins at 11-6. They got Tyreek Hill, like Teron Armstead, all the new players, along with their good defense and good secondary. I think this is the breakout year for Tua, and I see them making the playoffs. And yeah, because last year they went 9-8 and didn't have these people. I think that they're going to improve on that. And now the Bills, they are 13-4. I do think that the Bills are probably the best team on paper in the AFC. So that's all I kind of need to say. Josh Allen, my opinion, is a top 5 QB. I'd probably put him at number 3 or 4. Depends. Now we got the NFC North. I think, was this the East? I think that was the East. NFC North, we got the Steelers at 5-12. I know that Mike Tomlin has never led their team to under 500, but this is the team. I feel like this is how it's going to go now. They lost Ben Roethlisberger. I think that the era of Mike Tomlin is going to end. Maybe after a season or two, he might get fired. He might leave. I still think he's one of the best coaches of all time, but I do think that Kenny Pickett or Mitch Trubisky isn't going to have much success here. Their defense is good, but I do see their defense regressing a little, even if on paper they look like one of the best. Which I do think that they still are going to have a good defense, but I don't think that their offense is going to do enough for them to do anything. Then you have the Browns going 6-11. I would have them going I do think that they are a better team than the Bengals because of the Deshaun Watson. I don't think that their offense will make the playoffs with someone like Jacoby Brissett, in my opinion. Then you get the Bengals, who are 11-6, the reigning AFC champion. I do see them regressing a little this year because they overperformed last year. They're still an amazing team, and they show that they're good. But I don't think that they're going to be quite at the same level as they were on that playoff run. And then winning the division is the Baltimore Ravens. Their defense is so complete now. And not almost a lot, but, a lot of their players on defense were injured. That's why they end up sinking. Lamar's back, and yeah, I feel like things are going to go well with them. Their defense, they have so much depth. They're just stacked. Now we got the AFC West. That was an accent. I'm sorry. We got the AFC West here. So in last place we got the Raiders, 8-9. I do think that this team is better than they are last year. Adding someone like Devontae Adams, but I think that the AFC is a little bit too much. Too much to handle for them, and I do think that they still are really good, but because their defense isn't as good as other teams, that's going to put them down. And to be honest, I think that Chandler Jones is a bit overrated. That's just my opinion. The Broncos 9-8. Some people say that the Broncos were one QB away from being a playoff team or getting 11 wins. I always disagree with that. I think the Broncos are more than just quarterback because at times we've seen that their defense is inconsistent, not just their offense. Their offense was not very good last year though, but that's why I see them improving. Maybe in the next couple of years they can build their defense a little bit better, but their defense was also a bit of a problem. Now we got the Chiefs barely sneaking into the playoffs at 10-7. They still have Patrick Mahomes, even if they lost Tyreek Hill. They still have the best tight end in the NFL, in Travis Kelce. But their defense, I don't see them being all that good. That's what's going to end up with their downfall. But they're still going to be a really good team with the best quarterback in the league currently. Now the Chargers, I see them winning the division, going 12-5. Last year they didn't make the playoffs because how bad their defense performed. Now they got J.C. Jackson, they got Khalil Mack. Even if he's injury prone in recent years, I think this year he might stay healthy for longer. I just have a gut. So yeah, gotta sit with the AFC West. See, keep on accidentally clicking on that. That's my bad. Okay, now what are we on now? We're on the NFC South. Okay, so last place I got the Texans. I do at the end of the season last year they were playing pretty well, but they still do not have much talent on either side. I do think that Davis Mills could end up being a pretty solid QB in the NFL, but they need more to build around him. I know that they added I forgot his name, but the one cornerback I thought Ahmad Gardner was better. That's just me. I forget his name, but all I know is that he was in his prime as a freshman. He's kind of not as good now. Then we got the Jags. Again, if the AFC, maybe if this was the AFC, maybe 5 years ago, because I to be honest, I think the AFC is a little bit better now than it was 5 years ago. I do think the Jags should get maybe to 7 or 8 wins, but just with how competitive the AFC is, I think that they're going to get only 4 wins, but a lot of the games are going to be close, and Trevor Lawrence is going to take a step up. Now we got the Titans. I think Ryan Tannehill, we've seen him regress. Maybe even Derrick Henry regresses. That's not just why the receiving core is not good anymore. Losing AJ Brown, Robert Woods is still pretty decent, but yeah, I do see the Titans going 9-8. They still are a very solid team, but yeah, that's just kind of where I see them. The Colts 10-7. I think that I don't think it's completely Wentz's fault last year, because if you look at his stats aren't even that bad. I think he is now considered an underrated player. But yeah, bringing in Matt Ryan and Jonathan Taylor doing what he was doing last year, and getting a top, I'd say, I'm not sure if he's still top 5, but a top 10 corner in Stephon Gilmore. That combo is going to be lethal. Now the NFC. Oh wait, I finished everything? Yeah, I did. Okay. We got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Oh wait, sorry, I gotta start from the bottom. We got the Atlanta Falcons going 5-12. They're good, but Mariota isn't the best, and their team still needs time. They're still in that rebuilding process. I mean, Desmond Ridder might end up starting, but I don't know. The Panthers, I think the Panthers are also good at getting Baker Mayfield, but they lost some pieces, and the second half of the season after that win against the Cardinals, they kind of sucked. Now, the New Orleans Saints, they have Jameis Winston. He's inconsistent, but at times he showed how he can be elite. Michael Thomas is back. I feel like he's gonna show that he's still a top 3 wide receiver. And yeah, overall, I do think that they're gonna go 11-6 with Alvin Kamara. All these people. If I'm not sure if Alvin Kamara is still in jail. Actually, I have no idea. Okay, assuming Alvin Kamara isn't in jail right now, or when the NFL season starts, they'll go 11-6. Maybe they'll get 1 win less without him. But now we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Not really much to say here. They're just stacked all around. They have Tom Brady, who's a top. I don't know. I'd even have him like top 3 or top 2. My number one's Patrick Mahomes, and then it's either Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady. I know Aaron Rodgers has won like 2 MVPs in a row, but in my opinion, he did not deserve the second one. And you cannot call a quarterback an amazing quarterback when they can't win a playoff game to save their life. I mean, he can, but just not very well. Now we got the Rams. Sorry, I gotta start with the bottom. Seahawks, they're complete. I think that this team is honestly just trash. They need to go they already are in rebuilding phase. Like no more like Russell Wilson. They still have like DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, and Rashad Penny is also pretty good, but I just don't see them having success at all. The Cardinals are gonna regress. I do think that they were good last year, but the competition just in the NFC is also getting a lot harder, and I don't think that they are as good as the other top teams. 49ers at 12-5. I think Trey Lance is gonna step up this season, become that starter that they wanted him to. Debo's gonna have another breakout season, and just overall they're a very solid team. Then the Rams, I think they are gonna get first again. I think they still are going to be very, very good. Actually, I in their season opener versus the Bills, I have the Rams in that one. Okay. Now we got the Giants. Okay, the Giants, I do think that they are good. Not good. They're okay. They added some good players from the draft. We still don't know if they're bust or not, but I think that they're going to be good. But for this team to ever be as good as they used to be, it's going to take at least a couple of years. The Cowboys, I see them barely missing the playoffs, and they're still a good team. I do see them slightly regressing after the end of last year. I feel like the beginning of last year, they were really hot. At a certain point, things started to go a little bit downhill. I do think after this season, Mike, I forget his name, the old Packers coach, that's not Sean McVay. Whatever his name, he's gonna get fired. Then, bro, people are sleeping on the Commanders. I'm telling you, the Commanders are gonna make the playoffs this year. Carson Wentz is gonna prove that. I'm not saying he's elite, but he's a pretty good quarterback. I still think he's pretty good. People just look at that Jags game and think he's bad. If you look at the stats, Carson Wentz had a pretty good season last year. So yeah. I do think that Commander Carson is going to get in control, because that was also a big issue that they had quarterback issues. I think that's going to be filled. Carson Wentz to Terry McLaurin with having their really good defense is going to be lethal. They're going to make the playoffs. Now the Eagles. I think Jalen Hurts is going to have a good season, adding A.J. Brown. Last year was supposed to be a rebuild year, but they went 9-8 and made the playoffs. This year, I think they're going to get even better, and they're going to get the 3 seed. Now, the worst, I guess you could call it the worst division. This division, not full of great teams. The Lions, 4-13, they're going to get better. I still love their coach, but they still need to bring more to the table to be a better team. I think maybe I could see them in 2 to 3 seasons be a 9-win team. The Bears, they're going to get significantly better without Matt Nagy. Justin Fields is going to do it better, but their receiving core is horrid. Defense-wise, they Roquan Smith with requesting, a trade. But I still think that they're going to be a solid team. I think the coaching is a big reason why they weren't. I do think the Packers did get worse. They lost Devontae Adams, and Aaron Rodgers does not have that true number one receiver, in my opinion. So that's going to be a bit of an issue there. And I do think that they're going to have a lot of close games that they lose, and their defense is going to not be very good. And offense isn't going to be as productive. Now, the Vikings are going to win the division barely, 9-8. I still see them being inconsistent, but they're going to do just enough to make the playoffs. Justin Jefferson is still one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. You know, they still have like Dalvin Cook, and their defense is. I'd say that their defense is okay. I wouldn't call them pretty good. I mean, you know, they got like Zadarius Smith as an addition, but they also lost people like Marcus Pierce. So I guess we'll see what they can do. So yeah, those are the overall standings. Now we go into the playoffs. Okay, let's start. Okay, let's start with the. Let's just like go like 2 versus 7 first on both sides. So 2 versus 7. So the Rams won the Super Bowl last year. I think that they're a really good team, but I do see them going out early in the playoffs. I think that the Commanders are a true like dark horse team this season. You know, they might have some struggles in the regular season, but I think like come like postseason time, they're gonna show up. So I have them beating the Rams. Now we have the Ravens versus the Chiefs. I think the Ravens are the more complete team. I think that their defense will stop Patrick Mahomes, and that's kind of how it's going to go. I think that the Ravens defense too good for the Chiefs, not as good offense as it used to be. Now on to this game, Saints versus Eagles, two teams that are good, you know. But one thing, I'm not quite sure if I believe in Jalen Hurts yet in the playoffs. I do think that this team is really good, but I don't think that they're good enough to beat the Saints team, especially like with Michael Thomas. And I think that the passing game, and we're also having like Alvin Kamara, is gonna overwhelm this Eagles defense. Doesn't mean they're gonna get destroyed. I think Saints are probably gonna win by like 3 to 7 points. Now Chargers versus Dolphins. This game is gonna be good, but it's also gonna be like another shock game. I predict maybe like an injury sometime late in the season, maybe Khalil Mack, maybe Joey Bosa. I think something is gonna happen, and I think that Tua is gonna, or at least like I still don't think that even if Tua had a breakout season, I still don't think that you could call him like better than Herbert. But he's gonna show why he thinks he's better than Herbert. He's gonna beat Herbert in Herbert's land in the playoffs. Now we got the 49ers against the Vikings. I think that the Vikings are a really good team, but I think the 49ers are too much for them to handle. I think that Trey Lance again, he's gonna have a breakout season. So Niners, Bengals, Colts. I think that the Colts are overall a better team. And I think the Bengals last year, like they overperformed. I think this year that they're going to be knocked out in the playoffs in the first round. Now, time for the divisional round. We got the oh, what's going on? Oh, it didn't pick it. Okay, there we go. Okay, now we got the. And I'll start down here. We got the 7 seed Washington Commanders against the 1 seed Bucks. You know, I love Tom Brady and I love the Bucks, but again, I do see. Okay, of course, I could see the Commanders not making the playoffs, but I don't know. I have this weird um, hunch that the Commanders are going to make a run in the playoffs. I do think that they are a really good team, so I'm going to choose the Commanders in a very. And you know, the Commanders also always play pretty well against the Bucks. You know, last year they beat the Bucks. I do think that they are going to get the better of the Bucks. I think that Tom Brady is going to get sacked a lot in that game, and they're going to be overwhelmed. I still think the Bucks are a better team, by the way. Now we got the 6 seed Dolphins against the 1 seed Bills. You know, I do think that the Dolphins are really, really good, but I think that Josh Allen will show he's a better quarterback, and he will make throws that will determine the game. Now we got the Colts versus the Ravens. I think that the Ravens' depth is too good. I think this is the year that Lamar proves that he doesn't choke in the playoffs. Those were just bad games he had. Now we got the Saints against the Niners. I think the Saints might be like a better team overall, but I think that all the threats on the 49ers, I do think Trey Lance is going to break out. He's a better quarterback than Jameis Winston. I'm picking the 49ers in that one. Now we're going to go on to the conference championship games. Okay. Commanders are a really big dark horse team. I do not think that they're going to make the playoffs, so I think they're going to just fall short. I think Trey Lance is going to have an absolute breakout season. They're only the 5 seed because the Rams are also really good. Now we got the Ravens versus the Bills. I think that the Ravens are going to come up just close, or they're going to just a little short from the Super Bowl, but they're going to have an overall really good year. I think either the year after this or in 2 years they are going to make the Super Bowl and possibly win. Oh, oops, I did not mean that. So that means we got the Super Bowl in the Bills versus the 49ers. I do think that the Bills are an overall better team. You know, the 49ers are not as good, but I do think that something is going to happen where the 49ers are going to get the best of the Bills this season. 49ers, in the past 2 Super Bowls they've been, which has been in with a span of 7 or 8 years, they've lost both of them. I think this is the Super Bowl that they are going to win. They're going to beat the Bills, and yes, and this bracket is glitching, as you can see, because they don't even have certain playoff games showing. But yeah, this is kind of my bracket over here. I think that the 49ers are going to win Super Bowl 57, I think we're on now. So yeah, that'll wrap up the video. Thank you guys for watching, and peace.